what do you say we turn the fan on? Oh yeah.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Day2Day Woodworker. Last time I gave you a shop tour of my 2-bay garage, and my wood shop occupies one half of it essentially. Today I have a box. In that box is a 6-inch indexable insert spiral cutter head. It's model number H7653. It's for my Grizzly 6-inch jointer here. We're going to do a cutter head upgrade, and well, I'm going to bring you along for the ride.
Alright, these are spare cutting knives. They're the indexable kind that can be rotated. I'll show you that in just a minute. Looks like a couple of screws and studs here, and a bunch of Torx. A couple of washers and bolts and lock washers, and here's the cutter head. If you had a nick on one of these blades, you could loosen it and then rotate it and then retighten it up, and you'd have a brand new fresh cutter head. I'm gonna real quick clean this up because it has some, I don't know if you can notice, I think you can see it there. There's some oil right along here, just everywhere. You can kind of see it there. Well, I'm getting low on that. Alright, now to talk about the joiner. Last October, I bought a brand new Grizzly G0814 6-inch cabinet style joiner. It's by far one of my favorite tools in the shop, and I use it on just about every piece of wood that comes through my shop. About a month or two after I purchased the joiner, I discovered the helical style head, and I wanted to get one right away. But it just wasn't economical seeing how I had just bought the joiner. So I made a deal with myself. I told myself I'd run through this first set of knives until I got a nick or something in it, and then I would splurge for the head, and well, that brings us to today. Okay, so on to the installation of the new cutter head. The first step is to remove the safety guard. Next, you need to remove the fence, which at first was a little tricky, but then I realized all you have to do is remove this handle, and there's a lock nut underneath that runs along a track, and then the fence just easily slips off. Alright, let's check out this knife here. Yeah, so you can see right here, there's a little bit of a nick there, and it seems like, well, yeah, a little bit right there. You can see it pretty well right there. And then, yep, third one's got the same thing on it. On the board I just did, you can kind of see it better there. See how it's raised? You can see it all along there. So that is the raised section from the bad spots on these knives. I'll show you the reason why I want to swap these out. The blade has adjustment play that you can go up and down, and it could be raised higher or lower on one side. So the way you would normally adjust or normally set this up is like either with a jig, or you would use a dial indicator device that would set on the outfeed table, and then you would have use the top dead center of the blade, so like the very edge of the knife, and use the dial indicator to set from end to end, and then check each blade after that and use this as your reference table. So what I'm trying to avoid is the painstaking task of replacing these each time, and essentially I'd have to get that sharpened, or I would have to sharpen it or replace it. And I don't know if you can see that nick much better there. It's right here. You can kind of see how it divots in, so that's no good if you want a nice clean finish. I'm gonna go ahead and take all the knives out just to make it easier for me so I don't cut myself. Alright, and now I'm gonna lower the beds all the way. To release the head, there are two bolts connected to a stud that's connected to the head. There's one on the front side here, The next step is to remove the V-belt from the cutter head. In my scenario, I had mine very tight, so I had to remove the guard so I could get a better handle on the belt. Once I did that, I was able to get access to the rear nut. And I ran into a little trouble here. Apparently on mine, if you move the table, it also moves the fence support, which interferes with the cutter head. So I had to unbolt this bolt here, and voila, it just turns out of the way like that. And this should just come straight up. All right, the next step is to install these bearing block studs, and they're the same thing that were on the back side of the cutter that we just took out. All right, so those are both installed. Now we're gonna take this head and install it. The head just slips into place, and you can use the included hardware to reattach it. All right, now that this is just catching the edge, you can kind of see the ruler nudge a little bit if you pay attention. You see it on the end there. So it's just nudging that. So now I'm going to take the straight edge, go from the furthest away cutter knife to my closest. All right, let's see what this does. See, this is going to be off a little bit, so I think I'm going to have to shim the other side to bring it up just a hair. And I think it's just, oh man, it could be 0.003 of an inch. I'll probably do a, tell you what, I'll get a tool out, 1 second. All right, this helps me determine how flat the surface is. And as you can see, it's barely a 0.005 of an inch off. Probably due to some dust. I'm gonna zero out. With that zeroed out, I'm going to bring it on top of the cutter blade, and then I'm going to rotate the cutter blade to its highest point. So that's off by almost 0.007 of an inch. So let's see how far the other side is. That one's about maxed out at 0.002 of an inch above the table. So let's so I need to shim this about 0.005 of an inch. So I know that paper, or at least newspaper, is 0.003 of an inch each. So I think to split the difference, I got to do 2 pieces of paper and shim up this side of the bearing. So what I'm going to do is lower this table again and shim up this side, and then test it again and see where we're at. I think we're right at 0 right there. Perfect. All there's left to do is put everything back together. You need to put the belt back on the pulley, lower the fence support and tighten it back up. Don't forget the belt guard, and then add the fence back to the fence support. And don't forget the most important part, the safety guard. Alright guys, well that's the install of the Grizzly H653, which is a 6-inch indexable spiral cutter head with carbide cutters. It's for the G0814. There's a couple other 6-inch joiners that it'll fit on for the Grizzly. Again, I want to remind everyone, I'm not affiliated with Grizzly. I just really like their products. I'm showing them off on my channel because A, I own the tool, B, I like their products, and they have some pretty good ones out there. The cutter head itself, when it's cutting, 10 times quieter than the old one. The old cutter blades were super loud, super annoying. Even my wife said, that is loud. The other nice thing about this kind of cutter head is if you have some wonky, spirally grain, nothing that's like super straight like oak is, but if you have something like you know, some kind of knotty type material, it does a better job at handling that with less tear out opportunities. Guys, I just want to thank you guys for watching Day2Day Woodworker. I have a couple of projects coming up, one of which is updating a planer in the same way I'm doing this. Porter cable 12-inch planer, something you can just pick up at Lowe's. I'm going to upgrade it with a similar head like this. In addition to that, I think I'm going to be working on a coffee table soon with some reclaimed oak that I got from a friend. Other than that, you know, just have a good day and keep on woodworking. I hope you join me next time in my next videos. Thanks, guys. I've got my workbench here. I've got wood rack over there. Got some tools back there we're going to go over.